Welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching us today. We're coming to you from Interrupt, New York, 2010. On our program is Jeremy Buck. He's with Diskeeper. And Jeremy, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
So normally I let my guests do an intro about their company, but seeing that I know your company going back to the mid-'80s, it kind of made sense for me to just do a brief intro on the history of the company because I know it so well. In the 80s, I used to follow your CEO was Craig Jensen. He used to write a column in InfoWorld, as I recall. It was either the 90s or the 80s because I've been following your company for many years. But you did, at the time, it was all about scrubbing the hard disk to make sure that sectors that were bad, you found the bad sectors, you blocked them off so they weren't used again. I've actually been a customer because I used to be an MIS guy, an IT guy going back 20 years or so. And you know, obviously these sorts of utilities are very, very necessary.
Absolutely.
So, from there, though, I'd like to let you do some of the talking since you're the guest. That's why you're here.
I appreciate
Otherwise, I'd just be here by myself. And hopefully you can bring us up to date on what's happened since those good old days.
Yeah.
And until now.
I'd be glad to. Since the time started with our company, one of our flagship products has always been Diskeeper, and Diskeeper is intended to defragment hard drives and essentially make it an automated system to free up the users and the people running the networks so that they don't actually have to babysit fragmentation and are simply getting the peak performance out of their machines. So over the years, as Diskeeper's evolved, in our most present edition, which is Diskeeper 2010, we've worked out some pretty incredible technology to go into it. For example, one of the things that we're doing now with a technology called IntelliWrite is we're actually preventing fragmentation from occurring in the first place, which is something entirely new. It's something that no other company is really doing at the moment. So doing that, you actually save on disk cycles on the back end. You know, it's that much less of a worrisome problem, something that you have to babysit even less.
So you're dealing with, you kind of are in between the write cycle and the processor or the application that tells the disk to write, and then I guess you kind of buffer certain amount of data, and then you put it into a contiguous block and tell the disk, put it here.
Yeah,
Is that kind of how it works?
In essence, what we're doing, in short, is learning from the programs that are writing certain files. And what we learn is essentially the average size of files that are recorded.
Right.
So we sort of coach the write system, in some senses, to try to write files contiguously.
Okay.
If they can be written contiguously, great. We've saved that much time. If not, we'll tackle it on the back end still. So we're still defragmenting. Yeah.
So in terms of the return on investment of your products, I mean, you've obviously been around for a while, so you've had time to do some analysis. How do you go to market and tell customers why they should buy from you?
Well, obviously, there are a lot of time constraints, and also resources are pooled together so much that there's only so much time dedicated to doing anything with especially busy servers. And so one of the things that we really focus on is trying to get performance back to the customer. So one of the things that we found through our own testing is that a lot of performance is wasted just reading and writing to fragmented files. So with those considerations, backups are increased in time, antivirus scans are increased in time, users complain of slow performance, getting files off of servers, off of their own machines. So with Diskeeper, we've always been there to sort of handle those types of things, extend the life of hard drives because they're not having to work so hard to retrieve files, and actually speed up performance overall. And generally what that works out to on the back end is obviously faster backups, faster antivirus scans, faster file retrievals, and fewer help desk calls in some cases.
So those are some good benefits, right?
Absolutely.
Those are some solid benefits. Are there any trends that you're seeing? I mean, I know the company's been around for a long time, but in the last 3 years, 4 years, we've seen some unique financial events take place. Well, unique for the last 50 years anyway.
Yeah.
What sorts of changes has that placed on your business? Are people more likely to worry about their hard disk health or less likely?
Absolutely. Well, when you're talking about some of the financial constraints now, so many companies have fewer dollars to spend.
Right.
And that really drags out the importance of extending your hardware.
Right.
so often people will go and simply throw away a hard drive because it's overfull, because it's too old, because it's running slow, neglecting the fact that fragmentation can be one of the major contributors. And in fact, some of our white papers talk about trying to extend, or in some cases extending, the life of hard drives an extra 2 years. So if you can imagine saving that money on the back end and having to only update hard drives every 2 years, or extra 2 years, you know, there's a
lot of
cost
savings across an organization.
Big time. And then you multiply that to a larger network, it's a no-brainer, you know.
So what's next for the company?
We're actually moving forward into the virtual field. You know, that's one of the big things that's coming up. Virtualization brings along its own sort of conundrums as far as fragmentation. The host can get fragmented, the guests can get fragmented, so you actually have to tackle both sides. But then the catch-22 becomes you have a pool of resources that need to be shared, and shared pretty evenly. So we've developed a technology now where our host system for a virtual machine polices and governs what the guests do.
Okay.
Makes it really smooth, and you get the benefit of a defrag system in that environment.
Well, fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the program again. And
good stuff.
Give my best to Craig.
I will.
And good luck.
Much obliged. Thank you.